The three branches of government. First, legislative. In the legislative are there 100 senators, US senators, and 455 congressmen. And their job is to make laws. They are responsible for approving federal judges and justice and declaring war. All the states in USA will get 2 senators, and the congressmen will be distributed after the population in the states. Executive. The leading of the executive is the leading president and vice president. They are responsible for listening to the Congress. The president and vice president are working closely with the cabinet, and the cabinet help with making important decisions, for example, defense and homeland security. And they is pointing out the government officials, command their armed forces, and meet with leaders of other nations. Judicial are the courts in USA. Their job is to punish those who break the law. Supreme Court is the highest court, and there are 9 justices in the Supreme Court, and they are appointed out for life or as long as they want to stay.
The Democrats. The Democrats are those who we consider the red side of American policy, not to compare to the Danish red side. But the Democrats are focusing on getting better rights and higher salary for the poor and middle-class working people, not to compare to the Danish red side again, but they are fighting for better rights for the poor and middle-class working people. At the same time, they want higher taxes on the rich. Their ideology is a modern liberalism, and so far they have had 15 presidents. The first was Andrew Jackson, and the latest is the sitting president Obama. Franklin D. Roosevelt have had a major influence on the development of the party and their policy. He have moved the party a lot more to the left, making it more social liberal than just pure liberal. And the Republicans are the side we would consider the blue side of American policy. They are the Liberal Party in the US, and they're most likely to focus on the politics and freedom, and that everybody should take care of themselves. The party is also considered the GOP, the Grand Old Party, as it is one of the oldest parties in the US. They have had 18 presidents, of which the first was Abraham Lincoln and the latest was George Bush. They hold the power in the US Congress, as they have the majority in both chambers, and their ideology is an American conservatism, which is like normal conservatism, but not with the royal perspective on it.
US elections. How do you become president? First, you must be nominated to be the candidate for your political party. Then a series of elections are held in every state, starting in February, which determine who becomes each party's official presidential candidate. The winner of each state collects a number of delegates, and the Republican candidate will need 1,237 delegates to win a majority, while the Democratic contender must secure 2,383. So it's all about getting a lot of delegates to win the candidacy. Obviously, the candidate with the most votes in each state becomes the candidate which that state supports for president. Yeah. For picking the actual president, when you have your candidates, it's down to a system called Electoral College. A group of people basically choose the winner. There's 538 of them, that's the group. Just half of them, 270, are needed to make a president. So, each state has a certain number of these electors based on their population. This means that not all states are equal. For example, California has 10 times the population of Connecticut, so they don't get an equal say in the matter. Uh, California is far more influential. Um, but where it gets interesting is that in almost every state, except Nebraska and Maine, the winner takes all. So the person who wins the most elections in New York, for example, will get all of the 29 of New York's electoral votes. They don't get half, they don't get just 2/3. They get all of them, even though it's just a little majority they won. So yeah. And the ways to get the magic number of electors, the swing states often matter the most because they kind of choose the outcome. Because certain states like Texas will always be Republican, whereas California will most likely be Democratic. It sort of changes, but it's very solid that these states will choose how they choose. So the swing states is where all the efforts is brought into. Besides voting for president, the Americans also vote for the House of Representatives every 2 years, and they pick the senators every 6 years. Together, these two houses make the Congress. The major power is in the House is to pass federal legislation that affects the entire country, although its bills must also be passed by the Senate and further to agreed by the President. The Senate's job is to scrutinize and voice opinion on political matters, just like they do in the House of Lords in Britain. Alright, so Donald Trump. Donald Trump is an American businessman, a politician, and a television personality. He's an author, and he's the candidate of the Republican Party for president in the United States in the 2016 election. Trump became known for his bombastic statements opposing illegal immigration and various free trade agreements that he regards as unfair, as well as having hard views on foreign policy, and proposed a temporary ban on Muslims entering the United States, and his proposal of building a wall on the Mexican border and having them pay for it. That's pretty crazy. Alright. He quickly emerged as the Republican frontrunner, and his controversial remarks have inspired protests, both supporting him, crazy enough, and actually opposing him, of course. No one really expected him to seriously go anywhere with his politics because they were nuts, they were completely crazy. And certainly no one actually expected him to win the candidacy for the Republicans. He's gonna actually run for president. He became the candidate. That's pretty crazy. He has statements like the memes of small loans of $1 billion and I want to build a wall and Mexico pay for it. Could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot someone and I wouldn't lose voters. That's just Trump.
Bernie Sanders is a Democratic candidate for president of the United States. In 2006, he was chosen to the U.S. Senate after 16 years as Vermont's sole congressman in the House of Representatives. Bernie is now serving his second term in the U.S. Senate after winning re-election in 2012 with 71% of the votes. Bernie Sanders will transform USA into a welfare state after the Danish model. He thinks that no one is allowed to be poor. 3 things Bernie Sanders will take from the Danish model. 1. Free education. Bernie Sanders has announced several times that he wants to make all the public universities and college free and free from the debt. 2. Cheaper medication. The Americans are not more ill than the Canadians, but Americans use a lot more money on medication than the Canadians, and the reason to this is that USA is the price level 40% higher than in Canada, and many Americans are very mad of these prices, and They want cheaper medication. For that reason, will Bernie Sanders supposed get many pleased faces? 3. The most wealthy should pay more taxes, even though USA in recently time has experienced an economic growth. Has the middle class not seen any sign of a pay increase? It has made many Americans wonder if there has been a growth. Why don't they get any pay increase? In a debate, Bernie Sanders shows that 10% own as much as the lower population of 90%, and Bernie Sanders think this is moral, and I have some quotes from Bernie Sanders here. Well, let me tell you, Donald Trump and his billionaire friends under my policy are going to pay a hell of a lot more in taxes in the future, than they are paying today. A nation will not survive morally or economically when so few have so much and so many have so little. It's time to make our government work for all US and not just the 1%.
Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton was born on October 26 in Chicago in 1947. She has 2 younger brothers, and today she is married to the former president Bill Clinton. As a student, she was very dedicated, and she participated both in the school newspaper and the school council. When she graduated from her high school, she graduated top 5% of her class. This woman is definitely no ordinary woman. However, her father was very conservative, and he really wanted to limit her skills by her gender. Nevertheless, she grew up to be a lot different. She served as the US First Lady from 1993 until 2001, and from 2001 until 2009. She served as the Senator of the state New York. In 2008, she ran to be the Democratic president candidate, but she lost the candidate election to the now sitting Barack Obama. However, she was named the Secretary of State and Vice President in Obama's first period. Her policy. Normally, Clinton would represent the left side of the Democrats, but during this election, she has moved a lot closer and closer to the middle in order to make sure that the whole Democratic Party can support her as their candidate. When it comes to political topics, Clinton is especially incisive when it comes to foreign policy. Clinton is a more European-styled politician. She is in for the better rights to the poor, and she is not convinced that everybody has to take care of themselves or are able to take care of themselves. And she focuses a lot on the middle-class working people. Her opinion is that they should get a higher salary, better rights, and also that the rich are getting off way too easy with their taxes. She also wants a new immigration law, and this is one of her major points. She wants a law that is stating clearly how you immigrate to the US, and she wants to find out precisely how they should deal with the illegal immigrants that they have now, because these illegal immigrants are very insecure about their future.